Hi everybody and welcome to this video. It's going to be a warts and all 101 on how to create your first Azure Logic App. So we're going to jump straight into the portal and we're actually going to create a new resource group. And the resource group is Logic App Test North Europe. Let's create. Okay, so in the Logic App Test, which we've just created, we're actually going to create a Logic App. Waiting for the portal here. So I'm going to search for Logic. That should do it for us. Logic App. Looks good. I'm going to create one of those. We're going to fill in the parameters now. Okay, and this is test 1. Okay. All looks good. Let's create. Okay, so the deployment has started. Just go back to our resource groups, our Logic App Test, and we'll refresh. Okay, so here's our new Logic App. So what are we looking at? We're looking at some of the typical blades you would see, the properties on the left hand side, and on the right hand side basically the Logic App itself. So we're going to start by hitting the edit button, and with the edit now that we have a blank canvas, I believe we're going to be presented with a few different options, which seems to be changing daily. So I'm just going to create a blank one. So we're going to start from scratch. Okay, now when you want to start from scratch, you have to decide first of all how this workflow is going to start, and we're going to pick a trigger. So excuse me, we can actually search, and if you do a search, you will see that this is the very first trigger we had without the search. We're going to go for that one here. So we're going to go for request response, okay, and it's telling us, look, there's no URL. So we're going to make a request to the URL for this Logic App, and then basically we want to make sure that we're going to make a request to it, but in order to do it, we need to know what the URL is, but we don't know what it is until it's saved. So we also want to send kind of the schema. We want to say, hey, what are we actually getting in this request? And the reason is going to become obvious in a moment. So there's a nice feature here to use a sample payload. Okay, so we're just going to create some JSON here. First and second, that's what we'll do. First is 13. We'll actually do it as a string. And second is 3, let's say. Okay, that's done. Now it actually has created the schema for us. Okay, so the next thing what we're actually going to do is we're going to email this. Okay, so we're going to add an action, and we're going to, I don't know, we'll use Gmail this time. Okay, Gmail. Okay, Gmail, we're going to send an email. Now, when we actually want to send an email, we're going to have to create a connector, okay? So this is basically just to authenticate with Gmail. So we're going to see what my options are here in a second. I do not want to use that account. Okay, I have the option reselecting here. Add an account. Let me pick one. Brian Brough. Okay, this is a test account. Sign in. Logic Apps wants to have access. Okay, we're allowing it. Okay, so now that we've authorized Gmail, we're going to send an email. We're going to send it to my main email address. Keating.net. The subject. So what's going to be the subject? We're going to send the subject. We're actually going to send the subject from the request first. Okay, and when we actually created the schema, this actually allows subsequent steps to be able to select outputs from the first step. Okay, so click on first. The body is going to be hey the second. We don't have any attachments. That looks good. And now what we're actually going to do is save. Okay, so when this gets saved itself, we can then go back and look at the request, and we can see that that is the request address here. So we're going to copy that. Now we're going to go in and we're going to actually send a test message. So we'll jump into Fiddler. Okay, Fiddler's on this screen. Just move it over, and we're going to come in here and we're going to go into the composer, and I'm going to post, because it was the post verb. As you can see, for the Alt tab back, so it's a HTTP post at the moment. So it's a post, and we are posting to that address, and I need to send a header of content type is application JSON. Okay. The request body, I'm going to send first 20, and I'm going to send second, and we're going to say 7. Okay. So now if we execute that, we can jump back into our portal, and we'll just close this here, and we can refresh, and we can see it's been called and it succeeded. Now my phone has beeped, so that means I've got an email. So we just jump into my email. Boom, boom, boom. Just putting it off screen here for a second till I find it and move it over. Okay, so here's the email we're after receiving from the account I authorized with. We can see that basically we have the first is the subject and the body, which is the second, which is exactly what we're expecting. So this is kind of the introduction. The next few videos we're going to build on that. We're going to basically create an API app. So once we create an API app, we can actually allow the APIs in that application to be called as a component from within the Logic app, and I'll show you how that works. We're going to create the API app in C# first of all. Then we're going to create one in Java, and then you're going to see basically what the differences are and how to kind of get the discovery to be improved a little. Then we'll actually look at creating an Azure function, and this can't be done in Java, so we're going to do that in C# as well, and we're going to use that component in the Logic app. So we're going to build it up over a few different logs, video logs, and we're going to basically drill down into this a little bit more. So